Okay, now something else I want to make you aware of is the concept of a captive portal. Now, again, when we're dealing with public or open Wi-Fi networks, the concept of a captive portal comes into play. You may have been in a coffee shop or some location, a hotel, et cetera, where you've attempted to log on to that Wi-Fi network, and then you get some pop-up that says, hey, before you're able to access the network, you need to either agree to our acceptable terms of use, or you need to put in your username and password. It might be your last name and your room number or whatever, if it's in a hotel, et cetera, et cetera. Once you put in those credentials, then it basically allows you to access to the network. So that captive portal can basically quarantine or put you into a kind of a walled garden and say, hey, you can't get any further until you authenticate. Once you do, then it allows you through and you can have full access to the internet and so forth. Well, those types of things are vulnerable to different types of attacks, again, depending upon the implementation. But one example would be packet sniffing. So if a hacker sits on the network and is basically sniffing the packets, once you authenticate, again, it just depends upon the sophistication of the captive portal and of the network itself, or the tool that's being used. But if it's simply just looking for authentication by, let's say, username and password, well, it knows your IP address and it knows your MAC address. And once you provide those credentials, it says, okay, you're authenticated, off you go. Well, if someone is sniffing the network and they get your IP address and the MAC address, they could then, in turn, spoof both of those pieces and make it look like it's you. And as soon as they hop on the network with that IP address and the MAC address, well, the captive portal thinks that they're already authenticated, and it allows them to go through as well. So that's one method. Or they could put up a fake captive portal. Again, if you're in some type of coffee shop, there may not even be typically a captive portal in place, but you as the unsuspecting user would not necessarily know that. And if you see a pop-up and says, hey, you need to put in your username and password, 9 times out of 10, people don't think twice about it. They just go ahead and start putting those things in. Well, those things could, in fact, again, be captured by someone sitting there just basically being malicious and capturing this information to get usernames, passwords, or whatever other things they're trying to gain from a credentials point of view.